Back to Midday, everyone. Now, this is a very interesting topic that I know nothing about. All right? Dr. Kristen Mark is here to answer questions about postpartum sex. And I didn't know what that was.
Well, you said you'd never heard of it.
No, well, I didn't. And then you all laughed at me. Why did you laugh at me again?
Because you said you'd never heard of it. Like,
Yeah.
it never happened.
Because if it doesn't exist,
once you
it's
have
like
a baby,
Santa
it's
Claus
done.
or something.
Yeah, it was like, what? Did you? But I don't think anyone else knew about it on the floor either.
We
Unless,
do.
Yeah, oh.
It just means having sex after you have a baby. So, like, there is an adjustment period. So
Okay.
it's that adjustment period.
Is
It's
it
referred
becau-
to as postpartum.
Okay, well, let me ask the first question. Welcome to the show, darling.
Yes.
Thank
thanks
you.
for-
Welcome.
Thank you.
What are some of the challenges? This is what viewers send in to us. What are some of the challenges couples face with sex after a baby?
So there are a few things. One thing is that you have this new human, like especially, you have to keep it alive, right? So especially if you're struggling with adjusting to the transition to parenthood, that in and of itself can impact your sex life. But additionally, like if you think about the demands of having a child,
Okay.
it makes you more tired. There are complications that can occur during childbirth that might impact your sex life. There are, intimacy issues where sometimes your intimacy can all be poured right into the infant as opposed to being shared with your partner. There's also communication issues. There's a whole host of things
So this
that can
is
impact.
about the act of sex, not about the kid.
Yes.
Just yesterday, John
Yes.
Stamos from Full House and all that stuff, who I think had a very active life. He just had a kid.
Okay.
They're talking about how it's so hard now that they have a baby.
Yeah.
So this is
Right.
a real issue, even
Oh,
for
yeah.
those gods.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those
What's the
gods.
second question, Boo?
Well, okay, so we talk about John. What about the moms? Do they, I mean, there has to be some kind of, not ickiness, but just feelings that are all different.
Right. So one of the things that the research shows really impacts moms is, especially if you're breastfeeding, but even if you're not breastfeeding, your body is always in demand from this other thing, right? So like you don't really want to be touched during that time. You don't really want, you're always constantly being touched. And so feeling that from your partner can be hard, and it can be hard to adjust to. Now, that doesn't mean that you like never have sex again, of course, but it's a matter of like having patience related to that and anticipating that it's going to be a little bit different. And especially if you have a vaginal birth, for example, there can be tearing that happens. Depending on the degree of that tearing, that can impact whether sex is painful or how soon you can have sex again and that kind of thing.
A lot of women say they don't feel attractive after just having a baby
That
either.
too,
so
body
that
image
plays
issues
into
plays
it.
such a big role as well. Your body changes, and
A
so
lot.
you need to then adjust to that and feel. And some women find that they feel liberated afterwards. Like it's not all bad. This
After
isn't-
having a baby.
After
Yeah.
having a baby, yeah, it's like wow, my body did this. Look what it
Strong.
produced. Like
Sure.
I am a strong woman, So.
Okay.
That can actually have a really empowering effect on one's sex life. So
All
it
right.
doesn't all have to be bad.
That's good news.
Well, I
Yes,
can only
yeah.
ask and read the questions because this topic's over my head. I have to be honest. I'm so lost.
It's okay.
I'm really
This is
lost.
why it's important to cover
Yeah.
these things. You
So
need to know about
whenever
it.
I'm having a child. Okay. Is there anything mums to be can do to help prepare themselves for post-baby sex?
I think expectations and managing those expectations.
From
but
who?
From one's partner. So making sure that you have those conversations like about what your sex life might look like afterwards. Just because there's maybe a longer period of time where you don't feel comfortable, where pain is associated with sex, you can do other things other than engage in in a heterosexual context like penile vaginal intercourse. There are other things you can do that can still provide the same sort of intimacy and closeness that you might feel from sex with your partner, but maybe just involve like cuddling or engaging in oral sex or, there's a number of different things that can be done.
Okay.
Also, using lubricant post-sex, being open to the idea of like integrating that into your sex life if you don't already. And I would encourage anybody who's having sex regardless to use lube. But in this case in particular, for people who haven't previously used that, then that can be really helpful.
And
Wait.
talk about it ahead, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
talk about it ahead of time with your
where
partner.
do they find out all this type of information, apart from watching us once a month?
Yeah, right. So there are, one's physician should have information
Okay.
on this, but I can't think of necessarily like a website they could go
Okay.
to or anything.
We'll find
but
something.
It's a sensitive
Yeah.
subject. People
All
don't
right.
want to ask.
If you want to find
Yeah.
out more information about this amazing woman, Dr. Kristen Mark. There's all her information up there. We love when you come in.
Yes.
That seemed really